Hey, well, thanks for watching. This is a live stream and recording of the European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Conference 2018 Community Reporters. Longer title than it was already a long title for the event. But hey, this is Christian Buckley. You can find me at Buckley Planet. And Vlad, welcome.
Hey everybody, Vlad Catrinescu. You can find me really easily at Vlad Catrinescu. But hopefully, once you put Vlad, I should be first face up there.
He'll pop right up to the top. You know, that Putin guy can just, forget
just
about
under me.
Right. And John's a very uncommon name as well. So just type John.
Yes, John. That'll be no problem. And that is why I am at Diver Down 1964. So you know what I like to do, and you know how old I am. So no quips, especially you, Vlad.
I hope you don't use that question in your secret questions and answers.
Not normally.
You thought about it too, huh?
Liam Cleary advised me against it.
Yeah, talking about your age, about
yeah.
Well, hey, the purpose of this is that we're sharing some of our takeaways from the event, as we were talking before going live here about we may have one or two other community reporters jump onto the recording as we go, but that there are a number of sessions that happened during the week that we weren't able to go to, that we, topics that we're following, we're interested in personally, professionally. And so we wanted to talk about some of the different sessions that were going on and point you towards their, the presenters, the authors, and other content that's out there. So I don't know who wants to get started, who wants to start talking about talk in general about the event, or do you want to just jump in? Since you guys did all your homework.
Of course we did.
Someone has to.
I know.
Okay, so let me actually start. The session that I picked is actually What's New in SharePoint 2019 for IT Professionals by my good friend Gokhan Oschivchi, Microsoft MVP and RD from Belgium. Even if he speaks like 8 languages, I think he's home in Belgium. So, but yeah, it was weird. I'll just start with the comments. It was weird to see only one on-prem session in Europe. It was a full room. I mean, every single statement, there was people standing looking at it. And at least I have a feeling that when I talk to my friends in Germany, in Austria, all over Europe, on-prem is still strong.
It is.
And we only had one session about 2019. The session was amazing. But I was
of course it was.
Of course it was. But I was really surprised to only have one session. What do you guys think about that?
I was just going to say that interesting. We're getting ready for our SharePoint Saturday here in a month and a half, and we're picking all of our our call for speakers closes this weekend, and we're selecting them next week. And I think there's only one, possibly two, on-prem submissions as part of that. So I think both of them are being selected. Because there's still a lot of people that want to know that. So, I'm surprised that I was surprised that there's just the one as well.
It's funny because I've got, of course, I have a BI version of that. Well, for a few years, it's been What's New in BI and SharePoint, whatever the version of the server is. It's still got the same name, but it really should be called What's Left of BI. And really the answer now in 2019 is nothing. And I kind of don't want to give that talk anymore because it's pretty depressing if you really like the BI features in SharePoint. To the point where I think it was accepted for I won't mention which one, but it was accepted for an upcoming conference. And I wrote back and said, nah, you know what, let's go with something else now because it's not that you're really just delivering news that's been delivered in my case. So that's one angle on it. So I don't know.
Don't you think there's a cool story with Power BI server?
But that's not part of SharePoint, right? So, yeah.
I think this makes the experience so much better because as an IT pro, I hated setting up all of the BI.
Oh, I agree. I 100% agree with that, yeah.
And now we get all of the fancy stuff that business users have been seeing at Microsoft conferences with the Power BI, even if they're fully on-prem. So I think from an IT point of view, I love it that it's separate from SharePoint. it's its own thing and integrates.
Yep.
And I also love it that business users, they see all of the beautiful colors and the greens and the reds and easy to move around on mobile view.
All the beautiful colors.
I do love that perspective of the business users and what they're looking for. Shiny,
pretty
bright,
colors.
like blinking things,
Shiny,
bright colors.
colors. Yeah. That
Shiny,
always
happy
sells.
people. Yeah.
You're in marketing, Christian. You should know. Shiny sells.
Yeah.
That's why I have to be in a dark room here. I can't have anything that would distract me from doing the recording like this. Is so right.
Yeah, I've been kicking around the idea of a Power BI report server session, dedicated session, and it's got merit.
I have to do. I'm currently working on the SharePoint 2019 book with Trevor Seward again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was hoping you'd have a few blogs out there for inspiration. Because
I do.
About BI, I go on your blog and actually have one that what's new and what's left basically.
Yeah.
BI. I actually have it in my Bookmark bar because I have that chapter soon. I always want to make sure I check with John before anything BI this season.
Well, John, so I'm atop that. So I do watch the blog, of course. Also subscribe to the podcast.
I'm sure you do.
I'm wearing the Tygraph T-shirt and underwear. Oh wait, I'm not. I changed the T-shirt today. I am.
You don't need to prove it, by the way.
Yeah, no. So that session and stuff. But we were talking about like where to go and find those that attended. Of course, through the app can go and find the materials and stuff. But is that something Go can provide push? I'm sure he has. Is that his slides, his material out there available elsewhere?
I'm sure they're probably shared on his Twitter, xGoken. If not, I mean, most of us share our stuff on SlideShare those days. So big chances are if you search for the session title on SlideShare, you're going to find it pretty easy.
And maybe while we're sitting here talking, if you want to grab it, if you find it, and post it up in the Facebook for the live stream as well for the conversation. But we'll do a blog post, kind of a summary, and point to these sessions as well. But any other points to make on that, or do we just switch over to John now and his choice, his selection? Well, it's not. No,
that's silence. I mean, that is stony radio silence. That one.
So, John, what session are you going to talk about?
Another one of the ones I couldn't get to, and I'm a little annoyed because I wanted to get to this one and I couldn't because I was speaking at the same time. So not only did I not get to go to it, I had to compete with it. But yeah, exactly. It was Jen Stirrup's session about winning the Red Queen's race. It was all about basically machine learning and AI and kind of taking that next step forward, which is a topic I'm particularly interested in. And I think anybody who lives at all in the data world, BI, should be. Once you've got an awful lot of your BI in hand, it's kind of the next logical step when you think about it. Now I've got data I can rely on. I can run these reports, but maybe I could tap into some machine learning stuff to let me know what I maybe hadn't thought of already. We've gone from a structural reporting environment, what you'd think of as classic SSRS, to self-service analytics, which is a more interactive style reporting. We haven't gone from there. We've just added these capabilities on. They have different purposes. So, you come from, we know we have these questions every month to, why is this the case? I think machine learning and AI can take us to, hey, did you know you have a problem here? It's yet another level above. And Jen has been diving way into that. She's a rock star in the community. She's a rock star. I've known her, and I got the pleasure of interviewing her at the conference as well before her keynote. But she's gone down that road in some of the really advanced the cognitive toolkit and stuff from Microsoft. So she was showing some real world examples of where this stuff can make your life better.
Yeah, that was my first time meeting Jen in person. I got to chat with her quite a few times. So that was, I heard somebody else make the same comment. And I think like Tracy Vanderskiff and I were at the MVP and RD little gathering one of the nights there and chatting with Jen. And I think it was Tracy who said the kind of the same thing. I was thinking, it's like, my first time meeting Jen in person is like it's like slightly different than I imagined from like reading the content and and that kind of side. So, but
she has stuff. Oh, she knows her stuff, and she has probably the most pleasant voice in technology. If you
very soothing.
I think I mentioned it. I could listen to her read the phone book, frankly. Yeah. But she knows her stuff cold. She knows all the data science side of things. I'm more of an architect. I put the stuff together, make it work, and say, I don't know, what do you want? But,
in our live stream next week, we just so happen to have Jen joining us to read from the phone book. So
awesome! I'm gonna subscribe.
And that's gonna be that'd be just an amazing live stream. So I'll try to line that up. Yeah.
But yeah, she had a keynote. It was on I think it was on the Wednesday. It was at the end of the day. So yeah, of course, not only did I have to go up against Jen and miss her session, but I was going up against the keynote. So yeah, I all the a few people in my session enjoyed it, but man.
There was a lot of keynotes this week, huh? Well, during European.
Yeah.
Like Christian said, it almost feels like last week. I lost track of time.
Right.
With all of the traveling, but yeah.
Well, because last week John was still on the road, but like
I was in.
I'm sure
I was
going through email catching up.
Oh, no, John, you were in Slovenia. I was in Chicago with the SharePoint Fest team.
That's right.
Yep. Oh, Slovenia was beautiful. I've been to Chicago, so hey.
Well, that's very nice. I was in my basement here in, which is like Slovenia, like Chicago,
except not completely
different. I know.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, the session I was going to talk about was Victor Weilands from those people that know Victor from from Avanade. Of course, he's been out speaking at these events since as long as I've been in the community. But he did a great intro session. There's actually several like Donald Hessing and a couple others that did like Rick was it Roussel did sessions that were 300-400 level on bots, on chat bots and cognitive services from like that side of things, going and building that. And Witcher's done a couple blog posts, and he did in I think he's done 2 or 3 since Ignite at the end of September. But we're around building, kind of I wouldn't say so much 100 level. I think building a chat bot's probably kind of 200 level up. But he did this introductory session on specifically building chat bots for Microsoft Teams. And so if you go and I'll provide the links here as I'm done talking here, but his session building apps for Microsoft Teams like a champ, and he's got some related content that's out on his blog. So again, he's again one of those people that will, when he presents, the slides will be out there in multiple locations that you can go and search for, but certainly off of his blog, which is victorweiland.se. And so you could go and click on that, but I'll provide the link here. There it is. But yeah, it's just because what's great in a session like this is to see it in action, because we hear about this, or we see increasingly promotions around these different vendors, different ISVs building these chatbot capabilities, and I always ask that question. Besides when I'm not distracted by the bright colors and blinking lights as a marketing guy in tech, but
but you like the idea of robots with flashing lights.
Of course. And I'll come to something else here in a second, but just because I like the practical application of those things, and I like these when they're the interactive sessions, so that people really understand what's possible today versus what's very forward-looking. I think a lot of people expect when they hear like, we use natural language, what that actually means, what the capabilities are, what's not there, and you kind of properly set expectations, but you can kind of see where things are going. But it's great to have a session like this where anyone could go into Teams with the right permissions, like anything within the Office 365 world, but go in and build some very basic capabilities very quickly. So you don't have to be an engineer to go and be able to utilize some of those things. If you can build an integration, do something else with it application. It's a little more complex there, but
the word bot might scare a few people off, but I mean, you don't even have to go that complicated. You can do an awful lot of that sort of thing with Flow. Call it a bot. I mean, it's really just a integration automation.
Yeah, there's actually I think there was another session. I think that might have been Donald's session. I have to go back and look, but actually, I know Victor has a blog post where he talks about leveraging the flows for that. So,
and then I think Flow can actually get input from teams now, so you can actually do stuff in teams depending on what you put. Does a different flow, and there's actually a few ISVs that built a full chatbot based on customization with Flow.
Yep. So, yeah, I did a couple of demos like that at Ignite, and in the case of Teams at the time, you couldn't trigger on a new message, but yeah, you can now. That's good.
So question for you too. In the enterprise today, I mean, I love the idea of bots, but I'm a geek. Have you guys seen a lot of enterprises actually use it today and implement it at scale today? There's a lot of talk about it. Everybody's interested, but I haven't seen yet anybody actually use it.
I'll give you a case with one of our customers. They were interested in basically detecting spikes in activity. And they're actually using Flow to do this. And they're using some of our data from our Tygraph product, which rolls up, a number of messages and given periods of time, et cetera, et cetera.
Here we go. He's talking about his company, his product.
I know, but it's just data, right? So if you've got the data, it's basically summarizing, detect. Oh, here's a hot topic, and it's using Flow to do it. And it's not a proper bot, so it's nobody's developed a bot, but it's bot-like capabilities. It's alerting you proactively. So
it's more like machine looking at what's usually happening and then giving you an alert.
Mm-hmm.
Talking more specifically about the chatbot, instead of going to ask Mary from HR where you can find that policy. Yeah. Can I go in Teams and have the HR bot and ask the bot, hey, how many holidays do I have left? Hey, I want to take off from Thursday till next month, and that kicking that automated approval flow and doing all of that.
It's a request we used to get with workflows all the bloody time, so it makes sense for that to be automated. But I haven't seen it. I'm not in services anymore. So.
You've had the chat utilities, of course, have been around for a long time, and you go out to a lot of very large websites. I was thinking like my healthcare provider has on their external website, they have a chat bot that comes up and answers a lot of those basic questions before then there's a live human behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that kind of integration. And actually, I'll, in a future session, I'll talk about this, but talk with somebody that we both know that's in the space that kind of left the SharePoint world and is now back and integrating is doing a lot in the chatbot AI space with this new company. But it goes back to the practical application of those things. There are, again, you go in and you play around with Teams, you go look in the App Store, you're going to find a lot of companies that you're familiar with from the ISV world, a lot of the experts and stuff that are out there that have built solutions. And I've run into a number of companies that are using them internally to kind of do what you just described. I always use as the example of, like, if you've got your project management office or PMO, your methodology kind of built into that. So you can leverage it to access. All right, I'm going to start a new project, and it will provide you with the right templates. It'll ask a couple questions to verify that. But the most common, it's funny, you use that. Their first product that they're selling out to enterprises is an HR solution. And that's like one of those things where a lot of those repeatable processes, this is where it makes sense. While we all want to have that, computer, can you please do this for me and do, this complex, that's going to make great video just with no sound. To go and take very repeatable process, the monotonous process, the tasks away, like going and some of those HR activities of what's the status of my request for time off, You know, that kind of stuff is even to go in and be able to ask questions in the chat bot of the availability. Think of big company trying to find a meeting space. That was always when I was at Microsoft, and just like when I was with Hewlett Packard many years ago, finding an available conference room it was like calling into Azure support.
Ooh.
Intentional slam there, yes.
That's well placed, actually.
But it's just like that where it just ate away your time, and so to have that automated and knows what out there, and even to be able to do commands of to notify me when this becomes available, notify me when this person becomes available, those kinds of things. A lot of really cool stuff that you could do in enterprise. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know that Victor covered any of that within his section. But I mean, as far
I'm
as
sure the concepts were there.
But I mean, as long as you get, but again, go back to, and I shared a link to the article in the Facebook live stream there, but for his session as well as over to his blog. I mean, he's got a ton of great content out there but the next step is, incorporating flow into that to do some of that automation, which is, it's cool stuff. So I'm glad to see 4 or 5 different sessions on similar topics at the ESPC.
Yep, the old the power platform is getting an awful lot of love these days.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, guys. I mean, that was and Vlad, you might be on. I don't know if you were mumbling or if you're on mute there, but.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you guys see there was also the Flow conference put by the MVP Days team by Dave Kawula, fellow Canadian.
Yep.
7 people registered.
A couple of them were bemoaning this morning that I didn't do a Twitter thing for them, and I pointed out to them that maybe they should have asked me for that ahead of time.
It's funny how that works. It's too bad you don't have like a chatbot that's out there just listening, sniffing out there when there's opportunities for you to do something. Maybe be more proactive, John, about that.
Yeah, I think I need to look for more free work to give. Yeah.
Well, it's because of your available time. I know it's just you.
Yeah, it's just fun.
So.
Yeah, nothing else.
Well, cool. Well, hey, to wrap up, guys, of course, for those that aren't aware that didn't attend, this next year, the European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Conference will be in Prague.
Which will be awesome. Prague is awesome.
I've been there just the once.
Yeah, me too.
Loved it.
Yeah. It's what a great, and I never, it never even crossed my mind that you would go do a show there. So that's fantastic.
Well, I heard a rumor that it was, and so obviously it unsubstantiated, but it was going to be in Portugal, and I was excited.
I'd heard London. Oh, that would have been good. I would have loved Portugal.
Yeah. But Prague is great.
I expected Germany. I don't know why. I was sure it's going to be Germany, but Prague is super nice. And it's a bit later in the year. It's in December, so
it is.
That after Ignite, those 1 month and a half will be conference season, conference playoffs. I'll call it. There's going to be one every week.
And it's during Advent again, and I'm sure Prague has an awesome one. But I got to experience 4 different cities Advents this year, and I didn't realize how much I like mulled wine.
Not surprising there, but yeah.
No, it's not surprising.
Well, okay. Well, thanks, guys. Of course, I think that for me, the barking dogs of somebody at my front door is the indicator to me that it's time to go to sign off again. Christian Buckley, you can find me at Buckley Planet, my blog, and buckleyplanet.com.
John White at Diverdown1964, and my blog's at whitepages.unlimitedviz.com.
And Vlad Catrinescu at Vlad Catrinescu, and I blog at absolute-sharepoint.com.
All right. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. And for everybody, we're going to be doing quite a few of these, so you'll see these faces back. We're going to be talking about some other sessions and other topics here in the coming weeks. But, hey, have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Take it easy.